Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you stuffed yourself yesterday with candy and chocolate bunnies and all the good Easter stuff. I know last week we had some good small groups. I had a great time meeting with my guys, but definitely missed the rest of you as well. But last week, Scripture just invited us to pause and do what many psalmists have done as they brought their grief to God over the things that they've lost. And for many of you, you've lost a lot too. For others of you, I've heard, maybe you really haven't lost that much. But what now? Now that we've realized the things that we've lost in this time, now that we've had a chance to really let the grief settle in and to share it with God, what are you supposed to do? Is staying inside and grieving to the Lord all that we're called to do as children of the Most High? Or is there another thing that the Lord is inviting us into, another call that He's asking of us? What are you supposed to do when things are not as they should be and you can't do anything about it because the world is just as it is? Well, I want to tell you about what one man did. And this man wasn't facing a medical crisis or a financial one like we are. He was facing a political crisis. His country that he lived in had been taken over by the enemy. It would be like America being taken over by ISIS, and everything that he had known was canceled because his whole country was canceled. But this man, he had found favor with the enemy, not because he was a traitor, but because he was a man of good character. The enemy respected him, and the enemy didn't kill him. They didn't capture him. They didn't exile him. Instead, they just let him stay in his house. And they even gave him some food rations and a gift. And then through a divine dream, God told this man that if he and his countrymen who had been spared would stay in their country and submit to the new enemy government, that God would prosper them in their homeland. So this man told his countrymen about this, but they didn't listen to him. And his own countrymen, they grabbed him and they forced him to flee from his home and to go with them to another country that would soon be overtaken itself. And so this man, at no fault of his own, died in a foreign land against his own will. Did he want things to go differently? Yeah, totally. Do you and me want things to be going differently? Yeah, I definitely wish I could go to your guys' graduations this spring. Was it fair that everything got taken out of his hands with no power for him? No, that wasn't fair. But his world wasn't as it should be, and neither is ours. So what did he do? Well, this is obviously the life story of the prophet Jeremiah, if you're familiar with him. And like you and I, during this COVID crisis, unexpected hardship unfolded before Jeremiah's eyes. And he couldn't do anything to change it. But still, there was one thing that he could do. Like you, the prophet Jeremiah was called by God when he was a youth. God called him to be a prophet to the nations, and Jeremiah was obedient to God for 40 years. Through times of peace, times of trial, Jeremiah was obedient to his relationship with and his calling from God. So you too have been called by God. And you've been called by God in your youth to be His representative to the world. So every time we drive anywhere as a group, we always say, remember who you are and who you represent. And you're a Christian. You're a follower of Christ, follower of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the one who was raised from the dead. And you represent Him to a world that is dying and sometimes seems that things just are rotten. But even though you've lost your dance, even though you've lost your play, your sporting event, and maybe even you've lost your graduation, God knows how hard it is. And God accepts your grief. And He's inviting you, saying that there's a bigger story going on right now, and it's your obedience to God despite your circumstances. So keep grieving what you've lost. That's good. Let God know how hard it is. But also remember that you represent Jesus Christ to your friends, to your neighbors, to your siblings, to your parents. So continue in your obedience to Jesus by doing all your schoolwork without cheating. Continue in your obedience to Jesus by choosing to thank your mom and dad for making you dinner tonight. Continue in your obedience to Jesus by speaking kindly to your siblings. Continue in your obedience to Jesus by asking your friends and neighbors what you can pray for them about in this time. Well, I miss you guys. Hope you have a great time in your small group, and we'll talk again soon. Aloha.